Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, Season 11, Episode 14. Let me just say this, y'all. Dorit, I'm about to wear you all the way out. To say that you were reaching in this episode would be a complete understatement. I already don't like Dorit. I've always felt like Dorit was a wannabe, a social climber, and just an overall phony. The fake accent I could never get with, her not really having a true storyline, that always bothered me. She talks way too much. She's just aggravating. And for her to pull that stunt with Garcelle at Lisa Rinna's beauty launch party, I said absolutely not. So with all that being said, y'all, let's just jump right on into it because we don't have a minute to spare. So we start off the episode with Lisa Rinna, and I was like, y'all know I can't stand Lisa Rinna, but I digress. So anyways, Lisa's at home. Her daughters, Delilah and Amelia, pull up to the driveway, and they are in this gorgeous red Ferrari. They all jump out of the car, and Rinna's confused, like, wait, what? Like, how did you guys get a Ferrari? And mind you, Delilah's boyfriend is with them as well. So I was just confused as to, were they renting the car? Was the car a gift? Because Delilah's boyfriend, Ayol, kept saying, this is my dream car, and this was Amelia's Christmas gift to me. And I was like, but isn't Amelia dating Scott Disick? Like, why would she gift her sister's boyfriend a Ferrari? Like, that just did not add up to me. I was like, wait, am I seeing this all wrong? And I swear to you guys, I replayed that scene like 3 million times. I was just like, am I missing something? So anyways, Amelia says that she got a hookup from one of her friends for the car. And in my opinion, I felt like that car was probably one of Scott Disick's cars. And he was like, okay, if you want it, you could take it. And then she just gave it to Delilah's boyfriend as a gift. But nonetheless, a gorgeous car. So now Lisa Rinna takes her daughters and the boyfriend down to the garage, and she starts showing them all of her vintage clothes. She has their grandmother's wedding dress in there, along with all of her vintage Alaya, Tom Ford, Gucci, Versace pieces. Now, while I can't stand Rinna, I will say that Rinna can put a look together and she can dress. Those vintage pieces were stunning. Rinna's daughters start modeling the pieces, and I'm gonna keep it real with you. This whole scene gave me, I'm trying to prop my daughters up so that they can be the next big things. I have always felt that Rinna is in a secret competition with Yolanda Hadid, and she wants her daughters to be big superstars like Yolanda's girls are. So anyways, she's watching them model her old gowns. And by the way, Rinna, great gowns, beautiful gowns, in the words of Aretha Franklin. So she's watching them and getting all teary-eyed about them modeling and how they're grown women now and how them being out the house just has her so emotional and she's so lonely. And with them being gone and Harry filming in Romania. And I said, girl, are you sure that Harry's in Romania filming? Because the blogs say a different story. But that's another video for another day. So Rinna's daughters finished playing dress up in her old gowns, and now they go up to the backyard and they start discussing Rinna's launch party for her new cosmetic line. We find out that the launch party is going to be at Crystal's house and not at Rinna's house. And so Rinna's just super excited and she can't wait. So now we move on to Crystal. Crystal's at home. She's cooking with her housekeeper. Her housekeeper is joking on how her food is greasy. And I was just cracking up laughing because I could not imagine Crystal, of all people, making greasy food. I really have to say, I think that Crystal is a nice addition to the show. I think that she fits in well. She really can hold her own. I like how she's cool with Garcelle. And now Sutton and her are good friends too, right? Like, who would have thought? But I really am liking Crystal, and I would like to see her back for season 12. So anyhow, Dorit arrives to Crystal's house, and you can already tell when Dorit walked in that she was gonna be on some BS. Like, you could just feel it through the screen. Crystal shows Dorit what her backyard looks like, because remember that Crystal is gonna be hosting Lisa Rinna's launch party for her beauty line. And when I tell you, Crystal's backyard looked absolutely stunning. We find out that Crystal loves hosting parties, and on top of that, she hosts about 2 to 3 parties in her backyard a week. I think that's one of the main draws for me regarding Beverly Hills, because out of all the other franchises, these ladies really know how to host. And growing up, we entertained a lot. Like, our house was known as like the party house in my circle of friends. Like, everybody loved coming over. We always had a really nice spread of food. Like, my mom always went all out. She knew how to set a table. I just love it. And I think that that's what really makes this particular franchise so much fun to watch. So, of course, the whole topic of Kyle's Christmas dinner party gets brought up. And Crystal goes on to say how that night was a little bit intense. And I was like, girl, that's an understatement to say the least. So Dorit goes on to defend her good friend Erika about how Erika was a shell of herself at that party. And not only that, but it wasn't the night to pounce on her. I said pounce on her? Because a few people asked a few questions, that's pouncing on them? I was just shaking my head like, Dorit, shut up. I'm just not understanding this loyalty and this grace to Erika. I'm really not. I don't understand why Dorit's acting like Erika just needs so much defending and they have to protect her at all costs. Like, Erika is a big girl. She is a grown woman, 50 years old. I think she'll survive a few questions at a dinner table. Where was all this grace for Denise Richards last season? Huh? I'll wait. So again, Dorit, please spare me about Erika was being pounced on all night. No, she wasn't. And honestly, nobody told Erika to film this show this season knowing that all this was going on. So please miss me with all this sympathy for Miss Erika Jane, because I don't have any. So we see Dorit go on to fix her sorry lips and lie, talking about Garcelle has been taking jabs at her for these last few months and she's sick of it. And not only is she sick of it, but she's pissed off. So Crystal's just listening to Dorit go on and tell these lies. And she's like, you know what, girl, you know, my name's Bennett and I ain't in it. But if you feel some sort of way, then maybe you should address it when you see her next time. So Dorit says, I'm going to address it when I see her because I don't like this. I thought we were friends. And on top of that, it's like, if you have something to say to me, then just say it. I was like, girl, here's what we're not going to do. What we're not going to do is try to pretend like you have a beef with Garcelle. And also, I see right through you. You know that you haven't had a real storyline since that whole Puppygate incident with Lisa Vanderpump. Now we move on to Erika. She's in her new home and she's vacuuming. She's talking about how cleaning is just so relaxing to her, but also how she hasn't lived alone in almost 30 years. And how because she's alone, she has too much time to think and it's just so quiet. So then she makes a joke about how if she were at least having some good sex, then this whole thing wouldn't be depressing. I said, now, Erika, stop playing. You know good and well you haven't had good sex since the 90s. Because I can tell you right now, Tom was what, 60 when you married him and you were 29? Y'all probably stopped having sex ages ago. The last time you probably had an orgasm was probably in like 2001. Unless she had somebody on the side, but I digress. So we see Rinna come over with a bottle of champagne and their joint gift for Kyle since it's Kyle's birthday. Now I said, y'all girls are supposed to have all this money. What's with all these joint gifts? So Kyle finally arrives. They wish her a happy birthday. You know, they had the champagne out. Kyle opens up her gift from Rinna and Erika, and it's a really pretty faux fur. So of course, the conversation turns to all the drama that's been happening amongst the group regarding Erika's situation. Kyle goes on to ask them if they've seen anybody since her dinner. And Rinna says that, yeah, I actually met up with Sutton and Dorit 2 days after your Christmas dinner, and pretty much they're just nervous and they have some questions. So Erika interjects and she's like, nervous about what? And Rinna's like, about all the legal stuff. So now Kyle chimes in and she's like, Sutton just doesn't want there to be any problems in society. So of course, Erika's pissed. She's like, how cowardice of you. How small town of you. Like, we are no longer in Augusta, Georgia, bitch. Who cares what the neighbors think? Who cares what people will say about you being associated with me? Erika then goes on to say, you're fearful about what's going on. How do you think I feel? I don't think I'd want to be standing that close to a friend who is involved or associated with their husband scamming hundreds of millions of dollars from burn victims and plane crash victims and widows and orphans. Like, I don't think I want to be near that. Sutton has a lot to lose. Mama's coin is real long. So you can say what you want, but I don't see anybody jeopardizing that to defend Erika. And Sutton hasn't even known Erika all that long. So for Erika to want all this loyalty from Sutton is unrealistic, sis. And word on the street is that Lisa Rinna is about to be investigated because of her defending Erika so hard and saying that she's innocent. They're saying that they want to talk to her. So Sutton has every right to not want to be a part of this spectacle, because Lisa Rinna is about to get herself in a whole bunch of trouble opening her mouth on this show all season long. So now Kyle goes on to ask Erika something in regards to cheating. I swear to you, I had to replay that scene about 5 different times because Kyle pretty much mumbled that part and I couldn't hear what she said. So if you caught what Kyle asked Erika, please let me know down in the comments because I didn't catch it. But anyhow, she goes on to ask Erika something that had to do with Erika leaving or Tom cheating. And Erika goes on to say that she knew for a very long time. And she said that she remembers leaving Yolanda Hadid's house one night. And before she left, Yolanda said something to the effect of, boys will always protect boys. So she goes on to say how she went home, Tom was already in bed sleeping, and she decided to just check his phone. And when she checked his phone, everything was all there. Erika goes on to say, yes, I did think about leaving, but where was I going to go? What was I going to do? Because he had all the power, all the control, and at this point, I was solely dependent on him for everything. So Kyle's all shocked and just confused, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe he did that. I would have strangled him in his sleep. Then she goes on to ask Erika, but why were you nervous? Because you didn't have a prenup. Like, there's no way he wouldn't have been able to not give you money. So Erika's like, now girl, I was married to one of the most powerful attorneys in Los Angeles. He would have found a way to not give me anything. So Erika goes on to talk about her sob story and how 6 years ago she would have never been able to do something like this, and how this house that she's in right now, this is all her, and she hasn't received 1 penny from Tom. I said the way Erika has been laying it on thick this entire season, Erika is committed to giving us a sob story and a performance that she was this torn down, depressed, powerless wife. It's really commendable. Like, mama will not rest until she gets the court of public opinion to be on her side. So now we move on to Lisa Rinna's launch party at Crystal's house. And Crystal, the way you ate that, your backyard looks like a beach resort. I was here for every bit of it. I said, I hope Lisa Rinna sent you the biggest bottle of Dom Perignon because you deserved it. Like, you did that. So anyhow, everybody arrives to Crystal's one by one. They sit down to eat. Dorit turns to Crystal and says, Garcelle, I just want to say thank you so much for throwing this party. Your home is so beautiful. Thank you for having us. So they're all correcting Dorit, like, Dorit, you call Crystal Garcelle, right? And she's like, oh my gosh, how silly me. Garcelle, I actually have been thinking about you a lot. Like, you've been on my mind lately because I really need to get something off of my chest. So Garcelle's like, girl, like, what is it? Like, I know you're about to spring some BS on me. I can feel already. So Dorit lays it all out on the line, and she tells Garcelle that she's tired of Garcelle constantly taking jabs at her and picking at her. And then she goes on to further say that Garcelle's tone is rude and obnoxious. So now Dorit goes on to say how she feels like Garcelle is bullying her. Garcelle is so pissed, she interjects and is like, Dorit, here's what we're not gonna do. Like, bully is a loaded word, and I have never bullied you. So Dorit is grasping at straws, and then the whole topic of Dorit talking too much comes up, and they're all like, well, yeah, we've all said that about you, Dorit, because you do talk too much. Like, you're long-winded, you don't know how to get to the point. And side note, Dorit, I wish you would try to address me in front of everybody and think you're about to embarrass me in front of all of our friends. I don't play that. That is a big pet peeve of mine. If you think that I have offended you in some way, please pull me to the side if we're out in public in a group setting. And I definitely felt Garcelle's frustration to be put on the spot like that in front of a group of people. And then on top of that, she's the only black woman at the table. And Dorit, you were completely out of line to say that Garcelle is bullying you when she's made a few comments to you calling you out on your hypocritical behavior. How dare you use the word bully? And you know what you were doing using that word. Black women who speak up for themselves are constantly labeled as bullies, aggressive, nasty, angry, and it's really not right. And I have a problem with that. Garcelle has not bullied you in any way, shape, or form, and you know that. You're a liar. And what really sent me over the edge, while Garcelle was talking, Dorit sitting there with that little smirk on her face like she wanted Garcelle to get all worked up. That's a tactic that a lot of white women will do, especially in corporate America, to bait a black woman into getting mad so that they can turn around and say, oh, you know, they're attacking me. Oh my gosh, do you see why they did that? Like, I'm just sitting here so innocent. And when Dorit was trying to further bait Garcelle, asking her all those questions, like, do you consider us to be friends, Garcelle? Like, I don't know why you're doing this to me. And when Garcelle said, I did think that we were friends at one time, but now I honestly don't know. And I don't even know how I feel in this group. Like, I feel like I'm an outsider. They definitely do seek to make Garcelle feel like an outsider. I think that they're still angry at the fact that Garcelle did the right thing and stood up for Denise Richards last season. I think that because Garcelle isn't afraid to speak her mind and to call out the truth and to call out their BS, they want to ice her out and then gaslight her and make her feel like she's the one in the wrong for feeling how she feels about stuff. And the way I could have fallen out when Dorit fixed her lips to say that Garcelle's tone is rude and obnoxious, I said, excuse me? Your tone is rude and obnoxious 24/7. So Garcelle goes on to tell Dorit how she does not give anybody a chance to speak when they're talking and how she hijacks the moment and goes on and on and on. And I said, baby, if that ain't the truth. And the way I screamed when Kathy turned over and said, it's not like you haven't heard this all before to Dorit, and the way Dorit was quiet, the way Kathy continues to read these ladies with one of her one-liners, I get my entire life each and every time. So since Dorit knows that she's losing this argument that she started and she doesn't have a leg to stand on, she goes on to bring up the whole Palm Springs incident between Erika and Garcelle. Garcelle is so pissed. She's like, F you, Dorit. Like, F you for bringing this up. Like, you have some nerve. So Garcelle gets up to leave. She is livid. And the way that Dorit was getting satisfaction out of seeing Garcelle leave the table, I was just like, I would not have given Dorit the satisfaction. I would have just sat down at the table and let Dorit know this conversation is over. I have nothing more to say to you. You're a loser and leave me alone. So Sutton interjects, and baby, the way Erika turned around and let Sutton have it. And she's like, and you be quiet, Miss Small Town. So Sutton's looking at Erika like, did she really just say this to me? Like, girl, why are you attacking me? Like, I'm not even doing anything. So now Sutton's like, okay, Erika, that's cute, but don't take your problems out on me, okay? So she snaps back at Sutton and says, my problems don't affect you. Like, go get another legal opinion again. And she starts cursing at Sutton. Sutton's just like, okay, girl, like, again, you know, whatever. Like, I'm not even paying this any mind. And I said, now, Erika, you have the right one with Sutton, because a lot of other people would have called you everything but a child of God had you tried to get nasty with them. The way Erika speaks to people is absolutely out of order. So now Dorit jumps in and she's going at it again with Garcelle, and she says, I just feel like you knew what you were doing in Palm Springs. And Garcelle says, absolutely not. You will not sit up here and pin this all on me. And she lets Dorit know, let's keep it about the jabs and not you trying to include other stuff that has nothing to do with the initial argument. I said, Dorit, you are a sorry, pathetic human being. And I really wish that Garcelle would have really lit into you, but she's too much of a lady to do that. But you really deserved a thorough tongue lashing for that little stunt that you pulled. You know good and well that Garcelle has done nothing to you. And her calling you out at Kyle's dinner party, so what? It's the truth. You said a completely different thing when you were at your house when Erika wasn't there. Then when you got in Erika's face, you sat up there and folded like a cheap deck of cards. And she just called you out on it and said, well, that's not what you said a few nights ago. And you're upset with that. Dorit, what you did at this luncheon, it gave me full-on Karen. For you to sit up there and try to pick at the only black woman on that cast, I wasn't here for it whatsoever. You need to worry about the lack of finances on your end and stop trying to come for Garcelle and making up petty beef that doesn't exist because you need a storyline to stay on this show to keep getting these checks, to attempt to pay off your tax liens and all your debts. Clown. And there's a blind item going around on TikTok that she's on Louis Vuitton's do not sell list because she'll buy pieces and then she'll immediately sell them on eBay or Poshmark because she needs the money. So we get to the final scene of the night, and it is a scene with Kathy. And Kathy's home is absolutely stunning. Kyle arrives, and it was so cute because Kathy's tree was still up, and you saw all the presents underneath the tree, and you saw the Baccarat boxes and the Hermes. I was like, oh my gosh, I have died and gone to heaven. And it was so cute because Kathy's dog was sitting on top of one of the Hermes boxes. I said, now that's my kind of dog, okay? That dog has excellent taste. So Kathy shows Kyle her table that is all set up for her upcoming dinner party for all the ladies. When I tell you, Kathy knows how to set a table. Gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And the Baccarat candlestick holders, I said, Kathy, please give us every drop of wealth, okay? Everything. So Kathy takes Kyle into one of her many living rooms and they sit down to talk. Kathy brings up Lisa Rinna's launch party and goes on to ask Kyle what she thought about it. Kyle says, I thought it was great until Dorit and Garcelle started fighting. That kind of put a damper on everything. So now, of course, the topic gets brought up about their relationship over the years, their mom, and Kyle's TV show, American Woman, that aired a few years ago. Kyle goes on to say how they faced many setbacks in their relationship over the years. And I said, girl, we know. Like, we read the blogs. We've read all those Reddit threads about you guys and your mom and all that. So we know that y'all are in a very dysfunctional sisterhood, to say the least. Kyle says in her confessional that when Mauricio launched the agency, that was the first of many setbacks. Now, the blogs have been saying for years that Rick felt some sort of way because he felt like Mauricio was trying to steal his clientele to build up his business. Like he pretty much felt like Mauricio was using him for all his contacts. That's one of the blog articles that I've read about the real reason why there was a rift between Kathy, Rick, and Mauricio and Kyle. Kyle says that the show was a love letter to their mom. So Kathy says, if it was such a love letter to our mom, why didn't you call Kim up and let her know? Kyle goes on to say, if it was a real story about us and mom, I would have never have done it. And you could tell Kathy doesn't want to hear any excuses. She's just still upset that Kyle ever did that show. Now, let me just say this. I read up on their mom and they called her Big Kathy. Their mom, according to all these reports, was a very interesting lady, to say the least. She was allegedly married 4 times, okay? I was reading one report that said that she was feeding one of her former mother-in-law's dog food because she didn't like the mom. I read another report that said that she was a very intense stage mom and she was determined to push her daughters to be famous and marry rich by any means necessary. And because of what's been written about their mom, I can see why Kathy felt some type of way about Kyle doing a show about their mom. So Kyle goes on to talk about their dynamic as sisters. And she says, there have been so many times that when Kim and I were on the outs, you know, you two were close. And then when, you know, you and I have been close, you and her aren't speaking. And it's just been painful. And Kyle goes on to say that if their mom were still alive, this whole thing of them not speaking for years would have never happened because their mom didn't play that and she was always the mediator between the 3 of them. Kyle goes on to bring up how it was really nice that Kathy and Rick invited her and Mauricio to their home in Santa Barbara and they had a great time. Then we see Kyle in her confessional crying about how she never wants to be in that place again with Kathy. And then we see Kathy in her confessional crying as well. And she says, I can't believe it was 10 years of us not speaking. What a waste. And to see Kathy so emotional when she's usually so stoic and so reserved and so dry, I was like, wow, you could tell that she really was hurt by all those years of not speaking to her sister. My thoughts on this whole thing, I feel like they would all benefit from some counseling. All of them in some family counseling immediately. I just feel like they have some very deep wounds. I'm not that optimistic that they won't all be falling out in another year's time. I'm happy that Kyle and Kathy have mended ways and that they're close again. But I just feel like there's still a lot of hurt there. Seeing how Kathy was getting visibly upset just thinking about the show that Kyle did about their mom, you can tell there's still some hurt feelings there. So the scene ends with them talking and joking about their mom. And that is the episode. Y'all, let me just tell you, the way Beverly Hills has been bringing it every single episode, I'm here for it. I was having a discussion a few days ago on Twitter that Beverly Hills might be #1 right now because these girls are pulling out all the stops. All right? But again, thank you all for watching my recap. I hope you all enjoyed. And as always, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you all later. Bye.